I'm glad that you did not. All right, section 4.2 continued from yesterday. And we are doing, again, more trig values. Now, yesterday, we ended the hour. Remember, the bell rang. If you guys all sat quietly until I was done speaking, I appreciated that a lot.
So we get to leave early.
The sine, we talked about the sine of theta, the cosine of theta, and the tangent of theta.
E.
And do you recall in those last 2 minutes of madness, what function did I kind of match with the sine of theta? Yes, Marcus? CSC, which stood for cosecant, very good. And the reason that I kind of matched them together is because, well, first of all, what are these two things of each other? Sine and cosecant are what? They're reciprocals of each other. And the reason that the way that I remember that they are the two that are reciprocals of each other is because one of them starts with an S and one of them starts with a C. And I think that will be helpful. That's truthfully how I remember even now, that these two are reciprocals of each other because of the S and the C. Cosine of theta, which one kind of match? What's the reciprocal of the cosine of theta?
Sec.
Secant of theta, S-E-C of theta. We have an S here. We have a C here. And then tangent, the reciprocal of tangent was cotangent, and there's no little trick to the angles there, but I don't think that that's a big deal. Tan and cotan, you got to remember the reciprocals of each other. Okay? That should have been reviewed from yesterday. So what we need to do is talk about, okay, well, the sine of theta was equal to y over 1, which is the same thing as just y. And the cosine of theta was equal to x over 1. Actually, you know what, you guys? We said that the sine was y over 1 if the radius of the circle was 1. But what if the radius was not 1? What if it was something else? What did we use to represent that? Yeah. So I'm going to change this 1 to an r, and I'm going to change that 1 to an r. So the tangent of theta was equal to, remember it was the sine value divided by the cosine value, which in this case, now look at it, if I take the sine value and I divide it by the cosine value, remember the r's are going to cancel out. So we have y over r divided by x over r. The r values cancel out. What are you left with?
X over Y.
You mean y over x, right? Now, what is the reciprocal of sine? Okay, what is it? What is the name of the trig function? Cosecant, right? Cosecant, CSC. Cosecant of theta is equal to. Now, if it is the reciprocal of y over r, what is it?
R over 1.
It's r over y. Yeah, but I want to talk about, when I say it's the reciprocal, remember this y over r really means y over r divided by 1. So if I take the reciprocal of this, that's the same thing as taking 1 divided by y over r. So in other words, I'm just taking the denominator of 1 and I'm putting it on top and I'm putting the numerator of y over r on the bottom. That's what it means to take the reciprocal of something. And what I'm doing right now is just showing you the math. I'm showing you why it is that y over r divided by 1 has a reciprocal of r over y. So I'm taking 1, I'm dividing it by y divided by r. I'm going to multiply this by r over y. The r's cancel out, the y's cancel out, but I need to multiply the numerator by exactly the same thing. So we have 1 times r over y, which really means r over y. Now, I understand that you guys can just look at this and say, okay, well, the reciprocal of y over r is r over y. And that certainly is fine, but you need to get comfortable with the whole process of multiplying by the reciprocal, because that's going to be a skill that you need to be good at as this unit goes on. All right, so we have r over y as the ratio for cosecant. What about secant? I'm not going to go through all the steps, but quickly, what is the secant of theta? It's r over x. R over x. And then what about the cotangent of theta? The cotangent of theta is x over y.
That's what I meant.
Right, and these three ratios, actually I should say these 6 ratios, put a box around them, things you definitely want to be comfortable with, or at least you should know how to access them quickly. Right. I want to make sure that I have targeted everything that I want to target here. Okay, another situation. Let's say that let's go back to our orange table, our trig table that you guys filled in the tangent column with. And I'm just gonna pick a few of them to talk about today, and then your job is going to be to finish completing the table. So let's say that let's work with the cosine. Let's do 30 degrees, which is really pi over 6. The cosine of pi over 6 was the square root of 3 over 2, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So if I asked you to take that value and use it to help you find the secant of pi over 6, well, what do you guys know about cosine and secant? They're reciprocals of each other, yes. So what do you need to do to this square root of 3 over 2? You need to flip it. So the secant of pi over 6 is 2 divided by the square root of 3. I can't leave my answer like that. Why can I not leave my answer like that?
There's math rules.
There's math rules, yes. What's wrong with this right here?
Pi at the bottom.
There's a square root at the bottom. Yeah, so we have to get rid of that square root. So I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3 on both the top and the bottom. All right. So again, what is the square root of 3 times the square root of 3? In other words, the denominator. What's the square root of 3 times the square root of 3? It's the square root of 9, which is 3.
Yep.
And then you multiply the numerators. Well, the numerators is 2 times the square root of 3. You can't simplify that anymore. You're going to leave it as 2 square roots of 3. So the secant value of pi over 6 is 2 square roots of 3 over 3. Okay? That's what you're going to need to do today. Let's talk about what is the sine. What is the sine of pi over 6?
1/2.
It is 1/2. All right. So what is the cosecant
2.
of pi over 6? Yep. It is the reciprocal of 1 over 2, which is
2 more.
2 over 1, which is 2. Some of them are really nice, like that, but they're not all like that. Let's, what about the tangent? What is the tangent? What did we calculate for the tangent of pi over 6? Help me out here.
3 square roots of 3 over 3. 3 square root of 3 over 3.
Square root of
That's what I
3
meant.
over 3. All right, well, what's the cotangent then? 3 over the square root of 3. All right, it is 3 over the square root of 3.
Wouldn't that be 3 times the square root of 3 over 3?
Excellent. So I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. And that is going to get me, what's my denominator going to be? You guys should be able to look at the
3.
denominator and tell me immediately it's 3. You multiply the numerator, so you have 3 times the square root of 3. The 3's cancel. Those cancel. What are you left with? The square root of 3. So, your job today, of course, is going to be to finish this. Yep. Let's look at 90 degrees. Let's do 90 degrees, and then I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the sine of pi over 2? Which, by the way, I said 90, that's pi over 2. Sine of pi over 2 is what?
1.
Is 1. The sine of pi over 2 is 1. What is the cosine of pi over 2?
0.
It is 0. The tangent you should have already calculated. The tangent of pi over 2 is the sine value divided by the cosine value. So it is 1 divided by 0. What does that mean to you? Undefined. Whenever you have a 0 on the bottom, be watching for that. If you have a 0 on the bottom, you can't divide by 0. You have an undefined situation. I'm just going to abbreviate it UND. All right. What about what is the reciprocal of sine, you guys? Cosecant. Cosecant of pi over 2. What is the what is the reciprocal of 1?
Undefined. Why?
1 really means 1 over 1. Do you guys agree? 1 is the same thing as 1 over 1, so it's the reciprocal of 1 over 1. 1 over 1, which is?
1.
Alright, what about this? Cosine is equal to 0. That is the same thing as 0 over 1. So what is the reciprocal of the secant of pi over 2?
1 over 0.
It is 1 over 0. What is 1 over 0?
0. Undefined.
It is undefined. Yeah. Alright. Cotangent. The cotangent of pi over 2 is equal to, now look at, the tangent originally, before we said it was undefined, was 1 divided by 0. So it's 0 divided by 1 for the reciprocal, which is equal to 0.
Are these gonna be like the others?
Are these going to be like what?
I don't know. I'll be
Yeah, they do. You could find a pattern and they start repeating. Definitely. Yeah. Just you guys pay attention to when it says things like this. It'll say. I forgot what I was going to say. I know what I was going to say. I think this is what I was going to say. If it says that the sign is negative, what is the cosecant going to be? If the sign is negative, what will the cosecant be?
Negative.
Hello, everyone with
It'll be
me?
positive.
If the sign value is negative, so say it's negative 1/2,
Okay.
what will the cosecant be?
Positive.
Well, if you just flip it, does the sign
No, it
change?
stays negative.
The sign does not change. So if it starts off negative and you're just doing the reciprocal, the
It'll still be
sign
negative.
value, it's still going to be the sign value is still going to change. Do you need my password? Oh, okay. Okay. I do want to show you guys one more thing before I stop talking for the day, and then I'm going to give you the rest of the hour to work. All right. I know there's a couple more things I want to show you actually. What if I have you do this? If I ask you to find the cosecant of let's say 7 pi over 4, you guys can quickly locate this information. You guys can look at your unit circles and go from there. Or you're going to have this nice table of values all filled out here very, very soon. And you can just quickly look at this. Because 7 pi over 4 shows up on your unit circle. Okay, so just use your unit circle. So I'm just going to put a note here. I'm just going to write use trig table. Use trig table, or you can use your unit circle. All right, but what if I give you something weird like this? What if I ask you to calculate the secant of, let's say, 2 pi over 9. 2 pi over 9 does not show up on your unit circle or on your table. So this is what you need to do. And for those of you that are, just make sure you're following, because this is going to be something new. You guys, you know when you need to calculate the sine of an angle, you just type in sine of the angle on your calculator, you press enter, you get a value. You with me here?
We push C.
Okay. Is there a secant button on your calculator? There's not.
My phone.
So if that's the case, what does secant mean? The reciprocal of cosine, right? So when I ask you to calculate the secant of something that is not on your table and you're just looking for a decimal value, because sometimes you'll have a problem like that. It will say, calculate the decimal value of the secant of some crazy angle that's not in your circle. So you're just going to need to get a decimal answer on your calculator. This is what you need to do in order to use your calculators. And you might want to get your calculators out and try this. Secant means the reciprocal of cosine. Well, that means this. Secant is the same thing as 1 divided by the cosine. The reciprocal of secant is 1 divided by the cosine. So you can type into your calculator 1 divided by the cosine of that angle. 2 pi over 9. That is how you are going to have to use your calculator to calculate these 3 new trig functions, secant, cosecant, and cotangent. So, by the way, what mode must your calculator be in to calculate this?
Radian.
Must be in radians. If there's no degree symbol, you assume it is a radian. So when you type this in, just be careful. You're going to have to make sure you do this. 1 divided by the cosine. There will be a set of parentheses that will show up. You literally type into your calculator 2 times, just 2 pi, divide 9, finish your parenthesis at the end, and you should get a crazy, awful, horrible, irrational number. Am I right?
Probably.
Did you get something crazy? 1.305. You guys agree?
Good job. I'm proud of you.
All right, so what if I ask you for the tangent of 2 pi over 9, or excuse me, the cotangent of 2 pi over 9, what are you going to do? If I ask you for the cotangent, you're going to do 1 divided by the tangent of 2 pi over 9. Okay. All right.
Can we just write down that number, that nasty thing right there?
Say it again.
Can we just write down the 1.305?
Yeah, that's if it, and it will, the directions will say specifically like round your answer to the nearest, whatever decimal, and that will be your clue that you're finding a decimal value. Okay? We're gonna have to do something like that. All right, I have one more thing to show you. Draw yourself a circle.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh gosh, mine looks more like an egg. That's all right. Turn it into a unit circle by drawing in the x and the y axis. And I would like you guys to label this point right here as having coordinates of 11/12 and 5/12.
That'd be dumb.
And there you have this
Yeah.
angle theta in here.
Hit the cap.
So whatever this theta is, that's not the goal of this problem. That is not the goal of this problem. What I would like you to do is calculate for me all 6 trig ratios. I want you to calculate all 6 trig ratios. So you have, that means I want you to calculate the sine of theta. I don't care what theta is. I want you to give me the sine of theta. What is the cosine of theta? What is the tan of theta? And then we'll talk about the other 3 in just a second. What is the sine of theta? It's 5/12. This value right here is the sine. What is this value called? The cosine. So you have 2 of them right away.
Nice.
So the sine of theta is 5/12. The cosine of theta is 11/12. Now, the tangent,
It's 5/12 over.
is the sine value divided by the cosine value. So in this case, you're going to take 5/12, you're going to divide it by 11/12. The 12s cancel out. Remember, the denominators are the same, so they cancel out. What are you left with? 5/12. 11. All right, hard work is done. Not that any of that was hard, but the hardest part of it is done. Now you need to just calculate the cosecant. The cosecant of theta is equal to 12/5. You all right with that? Cosecant is the reciprocal, so it is 12/5. What about the secant of theta? 12/11. You just flip the cosine, so it's 12/11. What about the tangent? I mean cotangent, excuse me. Cotangent of theta is going to be equal to 11/5. Yep, 11/5. Not bad, right?
Nope.
All right, I think that's all that I need to tell you guys for now.
Good.